Father, Son, Holy Spirit, one God, Amen. We're very happy to welcome you to our second webinar. We have today's lecture about maintaining a positive outlook during social distancing. Our guest speaker is Abuna Father Luke Istafanous. Abuna Luke Istafanous is the priest of St. Mary and St. Mercury's Church in Belleville, New Jersey. Abuna Luke is very well known in the field of course, priesthood. He's one of the most beautiful fathers we have in our church, our Coptic Orthodox Church in the Northeast. And he's a graduate of theology and a board member. He's graduate, Father Luke, a master's graduate of theology and a board certified psychiatrist. And he's also an assistant professor of psychiatry in New Jersey Medical School. So he's still, he's wearing his priestly garment and he's still giving lectures in the New Jersey Medical School. We take pride in Abuna Luke for his two roles as father, priest, pastor, minister, pastoral care field, and also in his field as a psychiatrist, with which he's helping a lot of people. And we have a special clinic that he's supervising for our congregations in the Northeast. We appreciate that very much. And of course, who is better than him, His Reverence, to talk to us about maintaining a positive outlook during social distancing. And I see here a comment which is very nice when they say, even in the days where it is almost or feels almost impossible to be positive. I'm talking about psychological, spiritual, but actually it's very easy to test positive for coronavirus. So we don't want the second one, but we want to keep the first one where we can keep positive attitude and positive outlook during social distancing. Thank you so much, dearly beloved Abuna Luke. We welcome you. And of course, you are no stranger to ETCOIC, always with us in the retreats. And we are so honored, so blessed, and we love you so much, Abuna. And I'm sorry for taking a little bit long in the introduction, hoping that our youth will be now already connected to the link on Facebook. Thank you, Abuna, so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Abuna. Please pray for me. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, one God, Amen. I really love Abuna Antonius, and I can't speak high enough about him. Thank you so much for this blessed introduction. I'm just a humble servant of God, and I'm here to see if I can provide any kind of positivity today, except that one that Abuna mentioned, which is the testing positive for corona. Hopefully you're all well and safe at home, and hopefully we can spend a few minutes with each other here in a positive mode. Having said that, I'm gonna have to start with describing the negativity that we are trying to oppose here, because the title, our title today is about keeping a positive attitude in a negative situation. It has really been tough this couple of months for all of us. We've been not only that we're social distancing, but we're also suffering from a lot of uncertainties and anxieties and so forth inside of us. So the first thing the first positive thing among this negativity is that we actually acknowledge the fact that we are going through a lot of negativity, because one of the most negative things about negativity is to just not identify it or not acknowledge it and just pretend that it's not there and end up pushing it down and suppressing it while without really dealing with it and processing it. So the first positive, ironically positive thing we're going to do is to bring out all the negativities and acknowledge it, that we're going through it. So what are we going through? There is a lot of grief out there, whether we do have somebody that we lost or somebody that we know about that was lost, or just losing our health sometimes, or like I said, losing the ability to express ourselves. All of these need a lot of processing of what we call grief. And grief is a psychological normal phenomena, but if it does not take the right course, then it becomes abnormal and it turns to what we call pathological grief. Again, whether we typically grief applies on losing loved one. And we do lose a lot of people that we know of around us these days. But again, losing a loved one is the typical situation. But then losing things like our health, or even losing our normal lifestyle, sometimes leaves us with inner uncertainty and grief process. So the first thing I would say in this area is that take the time and sit with yourself and find out whether you're really grieving from inside any kind of loss. Also, the loss of friendships and face-to-face interaction, losing each other. We all, I know the youth here love to hang out together and see each other and play together, jump on each other, and all of this kind of fun. We're losing that. I know that we're all communicating through internet, but it's not the same. So we're all really looking forward to hang out together, hopefully soon. Also, some of us deal with anxiety and fear, anxiety from catching the virus, or fear from just the news. Some people have tendencies for that. So all these negatives, by the way, could be newly acquired, or it could be an exacerbation of a pre-COVID status. So there are people who are already anxious, and with the COVID situation, they feel now that they are very vulnerable. They are very concerned, whether for themselves or their people around them. There are people that are obsessively looking to the news and washing their hands too much, and taking extra measures of precautions more than even what is being demanded. There are people who fall into depression, hopelessness during these days, especially by losing the coping mechanisms, because every one of us have their own coping mechanisms, and when we lose it, sometimes we're not equipped to deal with our emotions. So a lot of us now lost their friendships, intimate friendships and relationships, and were left alone with our thoughts, with our minds. And also relationships. We are face to face with each other now. I know you guys are not necessarily used to stay for hours and end with your parents and with your siblings. Now you're face to face with them all the time. Are we prepared for that or not? So we're having unpleasant people sometimes, not the parents, but sometimes in some relationships. And also, we have been noticing a lot of numbness among the youth. Maybe it has to do with the fact that I mentioned in the beginning, which is the inability to acknowledge what we're going through and the losses that we're facing. And that's not a healthy thing at all. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And you might ask why Abuna is bringing all the negatives in a positive, supposedly positive talk here, but the idea is that numbness or just denying that there's anything happening around us is not healthy. There are people who just go through this by just killing the time. And killing the time is like escaping from any of the realities that we're living with. I don't think that's the best strategy. Remember that time is life, and we don't want to kill our lives, basically. We want to transform this into some sort of a positive outcome. There are people also who fall into the rumination of the what if question. And that's typically what causes anxiety disorders, is that we fall into we're victimized from our own thoughts. What if I catch it? What if my mom catch it? What if my dad? What if this happens? What if it's the end of the world? What if there's another wave? What if we don't graduate? What if we this? And what if is that? So a lot of what ifs, and if you find yourself ruminating like this, there are certain strategies to come out of this. So I'm going to stop negativity now, and I'm going to move on to the positive mode for the rest of the talk. Let me start with what I ended with, how to deal with a ruminating thought like this. So one of the things that you could do is to look for a proof for that thought. And by the way, during my talk, I'm going to talk on two levels. One is the psychological, scientific level, and one is the spiritual level. So on a psychological level, you have to challenge these ruminating thoughts. So stop at any what if question that you have and ask yourself, what is the proof that this is going to happen? Do I have any evidence? Do I have any evidence so far that there is another wave, or there is another, or this is the end of the world, or this is the end of my career, or all these kinds of haphazard thoughts that keep attacking me? So look for a proof, challenge the thought. Also, externalize the anxiety. Don't take it in and fall victimized into it. Put it outside and start challenging it, and decide not to go further with these anxiety thoughts. Don't listen to it. Another way to deal with them is to what we call change the channel. Change the channel meaning try to engage your mind with another thought, because our minds are designed to focus on one subject, at least on the front line, yeah. I'm not talking about subconsciously. Subconsciously, we'll get to it. But conscious mind can focus on one subject. So if you're focusing on this, one of those ruminating thoughts, change the channel. Try to physically move and engage into another subject with someone, or open another interesting thing. change your channel. These are just some psychological ways to get out of your anxiety. But I'm going to start with giving you some positivity at during this challenging time, some ways to tackle them. And I'm going to also suggest a book, little book that you can get from anywhere. It's called 101 Ways to Lift Up Your Spirit. Just some funny things, but I found some of them were very helpful. But general rules that you can do is to don't leave your time to fly by without you having some sort of a routine or control over it. If you don't pay attention to it, you will fall into like meaningless days and meaningless hours passing by without you noticing, and you will eventually feel like you're repeating yourself, and you will lose your hope and positivity. So I would suggest that you set routines for yourself. In other words, you put a chart and time your day, make structured time schedule where you start by the time you wake up, maybe sometime quiet time with God, and then move on to different things of the day. Make sure that you address your health, your bodies, like workout, and reading sometimes, and going out, and make it flexible. Like put different options in each section so that you can change. But put different choices and make lists of things that you can really do pleasurably, and things that you put for yourself that you like to do. When you have it written down in front of you, it will be more encouraging for you to do at least one, different options of those. Also, in terms of studying, I know that a lot of you, get assignments from school and you just do them anytime, anywhere. I think it would be helpful if you, again, put it in a time slot and in a space too. Like have like a little table or a desk where you can sit and at least feel that you get some time that represents schooling, even if it is not the same amount of time or structure, but at least you put yourself in that environment so that you can do some work. Also, there is a key in life that we know from scientific psychological study, and it's proven also, we know from the church teachings, from Christ's teaching, and it's also proven scientifically. That key of life it goes like this. It basically comes from that verse that St. Paul quoted Christ with during his final farewell speech to his bishops. You will find that in the book of Acts chapter 20. When St. Paul was giving this farewell sermon, he told them, remember the words of Christ when he said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. Or it is actually in Arabic, it gives the meaning of not blessed, but joyful. In Arabic, it says al-ghibta, which is the joy, the pleasure, is more in giving than receiving. That's actually a big secret of life. Many people don't know that. And many young men and women, they grow up thinking that the more we take, the more we are served, the more we are in a luxury, environment, the more we are happy or blessed. But in fact, that is a very big myth. The more we are served, the more we feel empty from inside and more hungry and insecure. and the more in need to get addicted to things to fill us. And it's a very dangerous thing if it extends over life. But during these days, this is something that is actually, that could be a life-changing time for you to change that. Try to do more to help others more at home. Pay attention to anything that you can do and give. Run and help someone somewhere. You don't have to go out with the social distancing, but at least by phone, by at home, do home chores, help your mom and dad, do something positive, always be a giver. If you're able to transform yourself from someone who is being served to someone that you are serving, you will get a big time life changing character that will actually can save your whole life. How is this proven scientifically? I'll tell you. I mentioned two scientists. The first is called Erik Erikson. This guy studied psychosocial development